Hey everyone, welcome to a new installment of the Old Van Podcast, episode 7. How exciting, lucky number 7. Ooh, I think I see a really pretty mushroom on a log just outside here. And a bug that I think I just captured in my hands. I have a life in my hands. Let's see if I actually caught it. Okay. Maybe I didn't. Anyways, yeah, I had my door open a lot today, so we got some bug friends. Reality of van life. Let's start off strong and honest. Yeah, I do have a bug zapper, but I haven't used it in months. And in BC, none of these bugs really bite me. Like the mosquitoes don't bite me for some reason. I don't know why. So they don't really bother me too much, and I'm able to like push them out the window when I start moving usually. Or they just live with me and I don't get as lonely. Right? So I've got my coffee here and I've got some questions, and you know the gig. Thank you guys for all the questions that you sent in, by the way, because I've filled out the question queue for like the next 3 podcasts. I'm so excited. I love being on top of it like that. But of course, please leave more in the description below because I'll just keep adding them on. And so yeah, if I don't get to your question immediately, it's just because I have so many questions to get through, which I love. Thank you guys for the engagement. I wish I could ask you guys questions too, just as easily, but that's not how this works, unless you guys want to start doing a podcast or something. Laureen, Boho Blue Van, always leaves a question, and I always leave questions on hers. And I love that Laureen is doing like a question segment in her videos now. It's just like a fun little, switch of pace, reset, get to know her a little bit better, and that's kind of why I do it as well. So I just spent today having a little bit of a shower, just hanging out on this logging road. I filled up on water because I'm really close to a river, which is really nice, and I'm getting ready for a full work week where I'll be pretty busy. I've had a couple days off, which has been nice, but I've finally gotten a real solid schedule, so yes, I know when I'm going in, and we'll see how it goes. It's a lot of evenings, which I've never been good at. I'm definitely a morning person, but maybe this will give me the opportunity to still be a morning person, have a great time in the morning, and also get the chance to be productive in the afternoon too, because I'll have to be staying up and serving the people, and I feel like evenings are more so beer than breakfast. That just makes sense. So maybe a little bit less serving and a little bit more filling up people's beers and making sure no one gets in a fight, or just cleaning up their mess or something like that. I don't really know how it's going. I've only had a few shifts, but that's my update on work. I'm happy to be talking with you guys right now. This coffee, it just feels so warm going right down. I can feel it like the entire way down. Is that weird? And it just like warms my inside. It's so comforting. Let's get into some questions. The first question, I believe, comes from a beach. How are you going to be living in brown sugar in Ucluelet region if the bylaw people say you can't live in a van, etc.? Or did you get clarification on that? Yes. Okay, brown sugar. Love that you guys are already using the name. That's this beautiful brown van lady's name. See, she's saying hello. This is how I communicate. Hey, how are you, brown sugar? That sounds good. What do you want to do today? Okay, yeah, maybe if we have time, we could... Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, we'll do that now. We'll do it immediately. Okay, never mind. We're not doing this Q&A. Brown Sugar just said she wants to go get gas and have an adventure. So bye, guys. That was lame. But anyways, your question is, yeah, that Ucluelet is definitely more strict for van life people, but it also turns out that pretty much everyone lives in their vehicle here. I've made so many friends that live in vans and just make it work, and it's a slightly different pace than I'm used to because usually I'm traveling around and have a lot of different options to park here and there. And the longer I stay here, the smaller it feels. I feel like the fewer options I have. And also, the longer I stay here, the more people that are going to be showing up because the weather's getting better and it just gets really wild here during the summer. But hopefully, I might have a couple leads on renting a parking spot from a local. That would be really cool to stay in town. And I did some posts on Facebook, so maybe someone will reach out through there. I'm doubtful because no one really interacted with that at all. But yeah, right now I'm just really enjoying this forestry road and, keeping it at a good routine, good rotation like I used to do in Vancouver. And that's been working for me so far. I did run into the bylaw officer a couple more times, and now he's a regular customer at my work, so that's kind of something to get used to. So that's how we're dealing with things right now. Just going with the flow. That's what the essence of van life is. So it's been going fine so far. I'm always able to move somewhere else. So thank you for that question. The rest of your comment, I know people have properties or just bigger acreage, and hopefully you could find such a place to be able to stay. That's exactly what I'm working on. Yeah, my boss might have an option, so I'm trying to be super nice to him, and honestly, that's just an idea. But yeah, this job also, I meet a lot of different people, so maybe I'll be able to casually bring that up, and maybe they want a neighbor, and I don't know, maybe I can pay a little bit of something every month. I mean, I have a job now, so why not take my money? I don't need it. And then you say maybe get a bike now. That is an exciting idea. I would love to figure out I would love to just like explore this area on a bike and really get to know it more intimately. There is such a flat area between Tofino and Ucluelet, just along the beaches, like along the highway, and there's a perfect bike lane for it too. It just looks like such a joy to get around that way. I would be using my bike along this forestry road and just exploring a lot faster, and that would be so fun, and that's a great idea. It's kind of one of the things that really draws me to big cities is because they always have bike share, and I love being able to just hop on a bike and just feel so good. I made a friend with some other girl, and when we were walking back from the bar, I got to like play on her bike a little bit, and it was so much fun and nostalgic, and that's a great idea. I definitely might look into getting a bike, something small that I'll be able to store, but yeah, great idea. Thank you for those comments. Alberta Schoolie Adventure says, great video. I can't wait to get out there. Yes, because you're coming in like a month now. It's very exciting. The countdown begins. Check your email. I invited you surfing. I got that email, I responded, and I think that's a great idea. We should definitely take a lesson together and get out there on the waves because I'm desperate for a surfing buddy. It's kind of what's been holding me back, and I really need to do it at least once, and then maybe I'll have the confidence to go out more so on my own. I just really don't even know what to look into, like the swell of the waves and where's a good place to go and the temperature and all that. So yes, that wasn't a question, but I love that comment. Thank you for that idea, and thank you for reaching out because it'd be fun to do that with you for sure. My question is, what does 50-year-old Stephen look like to you? In other words, where can you see yourself in the future and where do you want to be? This is a good question. I never really think about 50 like that far into the future, you know? People always get the question like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I'm always like, oh, I don't know, this or that. But it was fun to just like think about that question, and I had a few general ideas that I'm sure will change by then. But even looking back onto how I thought my life would turn out on this day in the future, I think will be so entertaining and be like, how did I change? How did the story change? What happened expectedly and what was unexpected? So I think a couple of my ideas that I've been talking about for a little while is that I would love to be surrounded by unconventional homes. I would always, I've been talking about just having land where I have a bunch of different types of vans that were kind of like the eras of my van life, like using a van until it's like full life is complete and just parking it somewhere on my property to just be a building. Maybe like reinforce it with a real roof, put some shingles on it, and each van could have a different use. depending on the layout and stuff. Like, I love this van. There's so much space in here. I could imagine it being just like a jewelry making studio one day and have different types of equipment in here. I could imagine one van being like my bedroom van, one van being like a kitchen slash like dining room van. That would be so cute. And just a bunch of different rooms on a property, hopefully somewhere by Lake Superior or in BC. Those are two great options. That was one idea I had. I feel like having these little houses on wheels is so convenient for like making a layout of your property and really gives you a little bit of creative freedom. I could imagine like parking one of them beside a hill and kind of making it part of the hill, and I could just like, I don't know, cover it in grass and dirt, and that could be like one of my sheds. Or I don't know what van that would be for. Maybe even a chicken coop van. That would be a great idea. Or like a greenhouse van with all windows. Yeah, all of these, like, this sounds like a great lifelong like build up. I think that's a great idea. And hopefully live with some friends, just people that I want to be around all the time and getting into natural rhythm, but pretty much always living how I'm living now, just like pursuing my interests and my hobbies to my heart's content, being inspired by nature and art, and just living how I've always lived with a few extra accomplishments, hopefully achieved by that point. At that point, I feel like I'll have a lot of friends from all over the Canada, at least, maybe the States too, who knows, and hopefully I'll have like the funds and the vehicle to go visit them on a good rotation, maybe every couple years, just making the rounds and seeing my friends and just keeping it exciting. I think that would be really nice. That's kind of one of the very first ideas I had living in a van. I was like, I never get to see my friends anymore. Some are in Ottawa, some are in London, Ontario, some are in Toronto, and they're just all over the place. I want to be able to go drive to them and hang out with them for a couple weeks and just really indulge that friendship, you know? But I didn't really end up doing that yet. It's kind of, even though I've been doing this for almost like 3 years, I think it's still the beginning of my van life, and I hope to do that and really like settle into it and be able to hang out with my friends all over Canada a lot more. Mike check. The next question comes from Low Light Mike, and he says, having a van named for a Rolling Stones song is good. Hopefully the van tells you to start me up. Just don't paint it black. Every time you give me shelter, it provides. I know that you love free unrestricted parking in Tofino, but you can't always get what you want. You have too much fun in the comments sometimes. You have the most fun out of everyone, so I'm glad you could indulge yourself with a little bit of Rolling Stones comedy. So thanks, Mike, for that. But your question is, which probably adds on to the puns, have you ever had a board game fall off the shelf while you were driving and you had tumbling dice? Oh my gosh, what a coincidence. I do have dice. Look at this cute little dice. It's like full of aliens, alien eyes and spaceships. Oh, I just rolled a 1. I just rolled the big alien. That's lucky, I feel. But what I'm gonna try to interpret your question as is, do I ever have things falling down while I'm driving? I definitely do. I have some of these baskets that I keep in the shelves of my desk, and sometimes when I take a too quick of a turn or hit a bump too hard, yeah, they just come tumbling out. So I don't keep really precious things in there, and I used to always pull them out and put them on the bed, but I stopped doing that out of laziness because they don't always fall out. And it also just makes me drive a little bit more cautiously because things are gonna fall. But I love the sound of my van when it's on the move because there's always things clinking and stuff, like my moons right there. They just like jingle when my van is like jumping around. I just love that noise. It's like so indicative of being on an adventure and going somewhere new. And it's just the jingle of joy to me. But besides that, I've had a lot of mugs fall and break. I think I've lost 2 ceramic mugs while living in a van. and one mason jar broke and shattered. A mason jar that was full of turmeric, so that was a mess and made stains and was horrible. But yeah, I just got to be careful. Things pretty much are good and have their own places now, so that doesn't happen too much anymore. I have bungee cords that tie things down, and I'm just, yeah, everything that's would have broken has already broken, so it's all good. And I just make sure like to knock certain things down before I even start moving, because I know they're gonna fall in a minute. Like my Mr. Buddy heater, I just like travel with it sideways so it doesn't clang around when I start driving. Andrew asks, why is it that you choose this lifestyle over sticks and bricks? That's a great question. That just reverts us back to the very beginning. But it's a question that I like to bring up once in a while because it gives me a chance to reevaluate and reassess and really still think about things, because I think it's really healthy to do that and don't get stuck in your own world, because there's a whole world of options out there to really consider. But the reason I chose this lifestyle was because it just made sense. Everything was too much when I was living in a house. I wasn't taking full advantage of everything that I had when living in a house, and I didn't even know how to because I never lived without it. So living in a van was a whole new perspective, where it was living with less, where I was wanting for more instead of the opposite, where I was just had so much that I was like, I don't even know what I want. I guess I'm all good. But now I really know what's important to me and how to live off of a minimum, which is just super healthy, I think, because I'm not being wasteful. I'm not using too much. I'm really aware of all the resources that I use and how often I use them. It gives me a way to have special attention over my complete life. And it is a way to stay connected with nature a lot more. So these are huge benefits that are just so different than living in a house, that were really valuable to me at the time and just grow in how important they are to me. So I'm really just indulging that right now. And as I go, there seems to be less and less negatives and more positives. And if I ever were to move back into a house, I would like really enjoy it. I think I would really take advantage of the privilege that comes with sticks and bricks and plumbing. Running water and a shower. What a dream. So that's a great question. Thank you. And we got a speed round of questions from Boho Blue Van, where she asked 3 questions. She asks, your job is in Ucluelet? Yes, you got that right. I'm on the west coast of Vancouver Island, and Ucluelet is the closest town to Tofino, and it's so cute, little mountain town surrounded by ocean and beautiful nature and rocks. And I've been spending so much time at the beach, like any chance I get, so it feels unreal at this point. Like when I am looking at one of these beautiful views, seeing an eagle soar into the huge hill across the water and all these like sea lions playing in the water, I'm just like, I would have never imagined myself in this place a year ago, even 6 months ago, even 2 months ago. I'm so lucky and happy that I'm getting to stay here, and I hope it just continues to be good and fun. Your second question is, what was your worst experience in your van life? Yikes, worst experience. In a previous podcast, I definitely talked about the knock situations, where one was like pretty crazy and disruptive and awkward and kind of frightening. And that was negative, but honestly, it probably wasn't the worst situation. It was more exciting and it gave me a story, so that wasn't the worst. What's the worst? To be honest, I think it might be just in the little things. Like when I'm parked on a really awkward hill and I had a weird night of sleep, or I trying to make coffee and my coffee filter breaks and I spill boiling water all over me. Or one time I spilled this little bottle like while it was in my bed with me. those were really inconvenient van life things. I don't know, that just could be blamed on my clumsiness, and who knows if they would have happened, or if similar things have happened to me while living in a house, but that's my van life. And the stress of like engine failure and making it over mountain passes, I wouldn't say that's the worst, but it was scary. Honestly, it's funny because I look back and the scariest moments were when I was hitting around like North Bay in Ontario, which is like 2 hours from my house, maybe like 3 hours from like my home. And I was like, I got there, I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting so far. Like it would be so much money to get my van towed back home at this point. But then I just kept going and had this feeling of waiting for something to go wrong, which is like a really negative thing because I was really vulnerable at that moment where I didn't have any money. So if things went wrong, it would be over, and that was kind of stressful. But to be honest, from that point, from that 3-hour mark away from home, I kept getting more and more confident. I was like, we're doing this. I'm enjoying this. This is worth it already. Every single day is a bonus and extra and more than I expected, and I'm having a great time. So when I started leaning into those feelings, it was just all uphill from there. Maybe the worst part, it's not specifically of my van life, but about van life in general, is just how society doesn't like you and how people like honk at you while they're driving by, or just how they show their disrespect for you for no justifiable reason. It confuses me, and I just want to have conversations with these people to know where they're coming from. I can assume a lot, but I think they're just assuming a lot about me too, so it's not going to do anyone any good. And your third question is, where do you shower in that area? I shower in the same spot that I shower in every single area, right in the middle of my van. I have a perfect setup for showering. I have a garden sprayer that has wonderful pressure, and I boil some water and I mix that with some cold water, and I get a nice warm temperature going on. And then I put down a garbage bag that collects any of the excess sprayed water, and then collect all the water in a dish tray that's like long and has like slightly raised edges. And that does the trick. I use body wash and a washcloth, and yeah, it's not like the most like comfortable, relaxing thing where you just stand in the shower and just like all your problems go away and you think about all the good times of warmth and whatever. And it's not the same thing as hiking all day and you're getting super cold and you want to have a nice hot shower to get back. It's not the same as that type of shower, but it does a great job, and it's just what I'm used to now. So I do that almost every day. Now that I've been working, I pretty much wash my hair and like my head every day. There's definitely a lot of other options for showers around town. Like the gym is a popular place a lot of people go to where it's not even that expensive, and maybe I'll try that out at least once to see what it's like, but haven't really needed to yet. Yeah, being sick in the van is really difficult, and winter is really difficult in my van because you kind of feel the same temperature as outside around you. But I wouldn't say it's the worst situation because I was in the most beautiful area. It was earlier in January where I felt really sick for about a week. And especially on a couple days, I was just feeling so flu-like and sick and tired, and just sleeping, napping, and waking up every few hours, and like really not getting a full night of sleep. And you guys know what it's like to be sick. So I was dealing with that, and I was just trying to stay warm with my hot water bottle and under my sleeping bag, and just trying to get over it. And that is probably one of the hardest times that I had in my van. But even on those days, on those really sick days, I did like hour-long hikes along a river in the snow and had a blast. Even though I was super tired, I still like made my body do this, and I think that really helped my spirits. And also, I was on Vancouver Island when I was going through this, so how could I even be mad? How could that be the worst situation if I was like in the most beautiful place ever? So yeah, the worst comes with some good when I'm in a van, at least. And then we have our final question here that is from Missy B, who says, congrats on the new job and have fun on your field trip when you go. Yes, because I'm going sailing soon. It was postponed, but it's going to be happening soon still. So definitely let you know as much as I can about that and hopefully film a bunch of it. And yeah, thank you for the reminder. I can't wait to get ready for that. Good job getting up and playing guitar at the open mic night. Thank you. It was so fun. And I think I'm starting to learn a new song for another opportunity to do that. And I also think I'm going to one tonight. So that's kind of the plan this evening. And to be honest, I think sharing these YouTube videos helped me a lot in the confidence department. So thank you for those really kind comments. I can honestly thank you for the confidence to even perform at an open mic night, which is wild and awesome. And there's a bug flying around. Get away. So maybe this question has been answered before, but what is your favorite artistic medium to work with? And I can't recall, but have you sculpted anything before? Those are really great questions. Have I sculpted anything before? I love sculpting with clay. I would die to start using a potter's wheel more often and make like a bunch of actual ceramic pots and cups, and that sounds so fun. But yeah, sculpting, like I've sculpted like a bust, like a head before. I've sculpted hands. I love sculpting hands. I remember last year I did a bunch of sculpting where I would sculpt like crystals and stuff, and I think I made videos of them where I would sculpt these things and then make molds of it with liquid latex mold builder, which I used to use all the time. And hopefully I'll get to do more artistic projects like that in the future. Anyways, and I used to sculpt them out of clay and then make molds of them and then turn them into resin sculptures and fill them with flowers and gems and all this stuff. So yeah, I've sculpted before and I hope to do it more often because it's super fun. I even did a project where I foraged for my own clay in a lake and sculpted some stuff. So maybe I'll get to do that here as well if I ever go swimming and find some clay in the lake. My favorite artistic medium? It definitely changes to whatever I'm really into the groove of. I love drawing. It's really my go-to. Even it's like the baseline for most bigger projects. So even if I want to do a watercolor painting or an acrylic painting, I have to sketch out my ideas first. So just starting with a pencil or a pen is kind of my favorite. I love that detailed line work. It's so fun to get lost in. But what's my favorite? Resin art really is one of my favorites, and it's just one of those challenging ones because it's kind of toxic. But I also love printmaking. If I could get more into printmaking, I love the simplicity behind that, and the process of just like carving out lino cut is so fun. These flies are the theme of this podcast. I don't think we've had like mosquitoes in videos before, but here they are. Welcome springtime. This is springtime vibes. I like it. I approve. It's fine. It's worth it. And I don't know if this is super influenced by Instagram these days or something, but I'm just seeing so many videos of beautiful baking where people make the most intricate cookies or beautiful cakes. Pastries are just so amazing. And I can see so many similarities between the process of baking pastries as in resin art with very specific ratios and just step after step and patience and all that. So I think it would be really fun to try baking sometime, like baking really elaborate cookies or something. I don't know if that really counts as an artistic medium, but I think it does. On the level that I'm seeing on the internet, it's really impressive and takes a lot of patience and skill. So that's maybe something that I'll be trying in the future. I also just love how it's not too precious when you're baking because it's made to be like enjoyed and eaten stuff, and just be temporary, where a lot of art is like meant to be like kept in a museum for hundreds of years, and the longer it lasts, the more valuable and precious it is. Like, I'm not that into that feeling. I'd really rather document the process of it, which I think the process of baking is really beautiful, and then have a super rewarding experience by the end of it. And with that ends the question segment of this installment, where we can finally move in to different segments. What's one random thing in the front of my van? Look at this. I was on the beach the other day and I just found this like set of teeth. It's like bone and these pointy teeth. And the closer you look, the more you see just rows and rows of teeth. And then there's this huge tooth right at the end. It's just so cool and so solid. I don't know what animal this is from. I'm just like assuming some sort of fish. Not a fish that I would want to interact with because it's kind of huge and has a lot of pointy teeth. But yeah, I just found this on the beach and I thought it was really, really unique and cool. So it's like a smile. Or is it a frown? So yeah, this is one random thing in the front of my van. And I think it's really cool and an amazing addition to this nature collection we got going up here. We've had quite a few new additions recently, but this one's definitely the coolest one. If you guys have any idea what animal this could be from, let me know in the comments. Story time, story time, story time, story time, time, story time. Since the question segment went a little bit long today, I'm gonna try to think of a quick, short story to tell you guys. Okay, so my story today is going to be the first time that I ever slept in a vehicle. This was quite a long time ago. I think I was like 14, 13 or something. And I feel like a lot of my van life and my love for it and my awareness of it might have came from this adventure. So me and my mom decided to do a little loop of Ontario. At the time, I was kind of obsessed with rocks and geology, crystals, and finding them in nature. And Ontario is very well known for its minerals. Bancroft is actually the mineral capital of Canada, so I spent a lot of time there. I remember that summer my parents decided that my brother and my dad were gonna go off to Nova Scotia because I have some friends in Nova Scotia, so they did a road trip there, and my mom and I decided to stay in Ontario and do a loop of a bunch of cities, going all the way to Thunder Bay and doing the loop back around through North Bay and doing the loop back around and really seeing my own province for the first time, and pretty much kind of for the only time besides the time last year where I drove through it to get here. Yeah, that was also amazing, but just the 2 times that I've seen a lot of those roads. And the first time that I ever slept in a vehicle was in my mom's old Honda CR-V. We were driving through Wawa, which I also hit up on my trip out west, and I did a live stream from there, I remember. And we were staying at the Travel Info parking lot, and we had our full-on like personal DVD players, and we just like played some Gilmore Girls and just like watched TV and just yeah, had a great evening, cozy evening, sleeping in a parking lot. Most of that trip we got hotels, and we even did a little bit of camping at provincial parks with a tent and trying a bunch of new stuff, and that was really fun. But that one night we decided to try sleeping in the car in a parking lot, and I don't remember any negatives. Honestly, it's hard to remember the memory specifically exactly, besides the movies that we watched and just like getting a comfy cocoon in the front seat, leaning the chair back. And I remember waking up super early, and that was the same day that we drove across a wolf that was walking along the highway, a big gray wolf, which is the first time that I ever saw a wolf. And then within 10 minutes of that, we also saw a moose walking along the highway. So, and it was a super misty morning, no one else on the road, doing a weird loop in the back roads of Ontario. And I just remember waking up from that day and having an amazing day. Don't remember so much about the night of it happening, but it just felt so free and fun. And there was so much flow about that moment. And that little loop around Ontario when I was fairly young stayed with me, and look at me now doing a super big loop around the entire country. Well, not a loop yet. Currently it's just a line, but soon it will be, you know, the full loop. We're 50% of the way. But anyways, yeah, that's my short little story about the first time that I ever slept in a vehicle. Not much to it, but except all good things. And then I blink my eyes and suddenly I'm waking up every day in my vehicle. Every single day. I've probably spent, I wonder if I've spent 1,000 nights in my van yet. It's getting there for sure. Thank you guys for watching this episode. I hope it was as chill as most of my episodes. I can't wait to put this little episode together for you guys and, you know, chat in the comments as usual, see what you guys thought of it, and see if you guys have any new questions for me. Thank you so much for all the engagement and the support and just the intelligence. Like, you guys are so smart with all the facts that you bring to this channel. I'm so grateful for it. I hope you guys were also enjoying a little beverage and are doing something productive while you listen to this. And I hope you guys are having an awesome day. So, till next time, I should have a sign off. That would be cool. What's a good sign off? Team Rockets blasting off again. Ding. That's kind of taken. Okay, that's enough rambling. Bye.